Alright. Abstraction. Can anyone tell me what does that mean? Abstraction. Anyone?
As needed basis information. You go to the level only what you need and show that to the user.
You go to the digging deep. You need to abstract a problem. You need to go and find the layout, everything. So that is abstraction. Now starting from the, what is an abstract form? It is defined, but where it can't be used at all. For example, let's say world is full of abstractness. Means really we can't use, there is no, until it is concrete we can't use it. Until it is very concrete we can't use it. For example, I will tell you one thing. I will say that, I came in my vehicle. Do you say that? But you know what is a vehicle, right? I will say I came in my car. That is concrete. But is there no vehicle? There is vehicle. But vehicle is an abstract definition. It is not complete yet, so it can't be used by itself, but it will take some concrete form so that it can be presented to you. Did that make any sense? So we all know what a vehicle is, but we will never say that I came in a vehicle. Why? Because it is very abstract. It doesn't make sense to people. Everyone knows what is a vehicle, but you still can't tell that I came in a vehicle, right? Because it is in a very abstract form. Abstract form is not useful completely. It cannot be used, it cannot be felt or tangible or whatever it is in other areas. But you understood, right? For example, I will say I have a collection. What collection? Which collection? What type of collection it is? You are not telling it. Oh, I have this kind of bag or that kind, you understand, right? So for example, when you say I have a bag or something, you really are not telling me clearly what type of bag or anything is that. Agree? So these are some things like, there are some things where you can't use them, but they are still defined. So in Java, two things can be abstract. Classes can be abstract. Methods can be abstract. So what does that mean? So what is an abstract class? Abstract class. What is an abstract class? Anyone? Which you can't use it. How we will use a class? When I created a class, how we will use a class? By creating objects. We define classes, but we create objects. So when we write a definition class, how we will use it? By creating object. So when you create an object means it's there. It's already there. So you can create something from it. So for example, I have a vehicle class, I have a car class. I can create cars, but can I create a vehicle? Can I create a vehicle? Yes or no? What vehicle is that? It should be a car or SUV or some other thing, but it can't be just a vehicle. So there can't be just a vehicle. Then why should I write a vehicle class then? Then why should I write a vehicle class then? For example, let's say, okay, let's go into, there are animals. There are animals. Can I create an animal? You can't create an animal, but there is an animal. For example, cat is an animal, your dog is an animal, everything is an animal, but you can't create an animal. Because why? It has to be a dog or a cat or something, but it can't be just an animal. But isn't dog an animal? But you can create a dog. Then why should I define animal class? So if I want to write an animal class, and if I want to write a dog class, why do you want to create an animal class when you can't make an animal? Why? You want to put different kinds of animals into one? If I make an animal means I can create an object of animal. See, a class can be used in two ways. Very good, Sugna. A class can be used in two ways. One is by creating objects. What is the other way of using a class? What is the other way of using a class? For example, I have a class. I defined a class. I can create an object of it and use it. The definition. I have a string class. I create strings. I have an account class. I will create accounts. What is the other usage of the class? Yes, inherit from it to get everything. So I don't have to write again. So what is the purpose of the animal class there? To reuse everything what is defined there to become. So dog can extend animal, but can I create an animal? No. So how do I say that you are not eligible to create objects? That is called abstract because it is not complete yet. So an abstract class is a class where you cannot instantiate an object out of it. Then what is the purpose of it? I want to inherit it and use the functionality of it. Agreed? I want to inherit it and use the functionality of it. Okay? Alright? So, dog can extend an animal, cat can extend an animal. Yes. So that is how we will use that. Then there can be abstract methods too. So abstract means it's not complete. You know that, right? It's not complete. Means it is in very abstract form. Not useful. Okay. Abstract class means you cannot create an object. That is why it is abstract. Because it is not complete. So if you want to use that, you have to extend it and create an object of child object. You cannot create the object of the parent. You can never create an animal. You can create a dog or cat or whatever you want. But you can't create an animal itself. Agree? Similarly, now I am going to ask you, what does an abstract method mean? Method means what is there? What does a method have? What does method have inside it? What is that? Logic. So when I say abstract method means I don't know the logic how to do it. So I don't know the logic. It's not complete logic. So it doesn't know the logic, but it knows what to do, but it doesn't know how to do. You understand, right? So it knows what to do, but it doesn't know how to do it. Then what is the purpose of writing a method which it doesn't know what to do or how to do? Why should I write a method? For example, an animal eats, every animal eats, right? An animal will eat. But you cannot tell, if you write open brace, close brace means what is this? You are writing logic. But you are telling that you don't know how to write the logic. So abstract method means there is no braces, no implementation, no logic, but only signature. So like public void, public abstract, void eat. So I wrote a eat method in animal class that it can eat. A animal can eat, but I don't know how it will eat. Because why? A cat will eat differently, a dog will eat differently, some other thing will eat differently. That is different. I know it will eat, but I don't know how it eats. It depends on my child class. What is the purpose of this then? There are two purpose for methods. A method is write a logic and use it. And there is second purpose for a method. I already defined it, basis. Then how do I use this?
So every time you create a child, you use eat and then define.
So what is that? Every time I create a child, I create a eat method inside it. What is that called? Overriding. Got it? So you should override it. So when I say abstract method means that should be, must be. That must be overridden in the child. Otherwise you are not my child. So it's a must override method. Agree? So when I write an abstract method means that is must overridden by all the child. So whoever is the child, if I say cat is a child, cat should have a eat method. If I say something else, dog or something else, it should have a eat method. Otherwise it can't be an animal. If you extend animal, you have to override eat. So that is abstraction. So what is an abstract class mean? An abstract class is a abstract class which is in abstract form, which can't be completely used. That means we cannot create the object. We cannot instantiate an object of it. But what is the purpose? We can inherit it and override the abstract methods in it. Can an animal have non-abstract methods? Yes. Abstract class is not completely abstract. It can have non-abstract methods too, but it should have at least one abstract method. Abstract class should have at least one abstract method. Not all of them should be abstract. For example, we don't know how every animal eats. Agreed? But every animal, let's say, for example, let's say you can put like, public int number of legs, get a number of legs. Okay, public int number of legs. So I can write a non-abstract method inside the abstract class, so which will still return something else. Okay? I can write a non-abstract methods also. So abstract methods are not completely abstract. Agreed? Abstract methods are not completely abstract. So I will show you something. I am saying this is abstract. Okay. It is nothing but using abstract. I am writing a abstract method now. Abstract methods should not have implementation, so you should not write these braces. Got it? That is the reason it is failing. That's it, done. Got it? Right? You can have non-abstract stuff too. Okay. Now,
Why do you have a get method for a public?
say it again.
I mean, you made it public, right?
Yes, I made it public. Methods I
It's
make.
not a getter or setter.
It's a getter. It's a getter only. But still, this is a non-abstract method. You agree it is a method? It is a non-abstract method. Agree? Now, for example, see, can I create animal A is equal to new animal? Can I do this? No. Why? Because it is abstract. Then how should I use this? How should I use this? I will create a dog. It will tell that it won't compile. Why? It won't compile. You have to add unimplemented methods. You have to override. You don't have to put this override annotation. It's okay. Got it? You have to have that eat method, otherwise you are not complete. When it says an abstract, you should must override. You should override this here. Otherwise that is not child class. Every class which is extending a abstract class should override all the abstract methods from the parent class. Am I clear? Okay. How do you eat? You will write logic, how dog eats. Okay. Okay. And now let's go and create a object of dog. D is equal to new dog. Let's say d dot Get a number of legs. Do you have get number of legs? Okay, because how am I getting number of legs? D dot number of legs is equal to, let's say, 4, and I can say print get number of legs. Did I write it in dog class at all? This is coming from parent animal. I'm still getting many things which are non-abstract. But the thing is, for example, like let's say now if I call d dot eat, which eat it is calling? The child eat, because it is overridden. Remember, it is calling. It doesn't print because eat doesn't return anything. So you have to just say eat. It's a void method, right? It is not returning anything. So d dot eat. What is the advantage of this? For example, let's write a class called animal shelter. Okay, animal shelter. Agree? And inside this animal shelter, okay, why am I not? Okay, I wrote it in a default package. I will write. Let's say, is animal program and animal shelter program same? No, they are different. Right? For example, another company is creating, let's say we are some pet store or like PetSmart or something, and someone else is creating a animal shelter or something like that. Okay, so they are writing a animal shelter class. Shelter means put a animal in, or like let's put check in, check out or something like that. What do you call it? Is there any name? Is there any terminology or? Okay. That is adoption. Yeah. But how do you say for putting it in? Okay. Shelter. Okay. And you pass a animal, right? And let's say for taking it out, adopt. Agree? So what is the logic to shelter? What is the logic? It will go and add in the database or something like that. It will adopt also. It will go and add, update it in the database. Agree? Does this animal shelter know what type of animal it is? We adopt any animal. Right? We adopt any animal. You send me an animal, I will adopt it. Agree? Now I will go to this test program. Animal D is equal to new dog. Can I write this? Is a dog an animal? Right? That is what we learned, right? Is car, is Toyota a car, or some, sedan a car? Is Lexus a sedan? Same thing, right? Now I will say that I want to shelter this dog. I just created this. It ate too much, so let's send it to shelter. Okay. Let's say that for example, I will create an animal shelter. I can make this static because otherwise I have to create object of animal shelter. There is only one animal shelter. We don't have multiple animal shelters, so we don't need to create animal shelter object. So what will I do? I will make this static. Okay? And I want to send this dog to that shelter. What will I do? Animal shelter dot shelter, and I will pass D. So I am passing the animal, but what is really going in it? Dog. Dog. So now see this here. Who is sheltering this animal shelter? Who is going in? Dog. Then why did I use animal? Okay, that is abstract. So what is the real purpose of abstract classes? To create the root definition. To create the root definition so that we can use it, reuse the definition, rather than like, for example, hard coding into dog, cat and everything. See, eat is common for all animals. So that is the reason we wrote abstract class and we wrote eat and we wrote about number of legs and everything. But still we know that we can't create the object of animal. But why did we still write it? Because we want to make sure the definition should be consistent coming from here. So even though we cannot create an object of animal class, we still want to the childs to take it. Means we want to be inherited. We want to be inherited, we want to be overridden. That is the reason how we give functionality to us. In other words, we are giving a template to people. Oh, if you want to be an animal, you should have all this and you should also have eat. But I don't know how to eat. Agree? Similarly, if you want to be an account, we can write an abstract account. There is no just account, right? Do you see an account there in bank? Do you see any account just like account? There is either checking account, there is a saving account, there is a mortgage account, there is a credit card account, but there is just an account? No. What is the purpose of it? Someone has to do something with it, right? Someone has to make money out of your account. So there is a way to do that. Either from savings, either from checkings, minimum balance, average fines or something. Each account has its own rules. That is the reason they are called a different account. So, but there is no just account. But still in Java you can write just an account. Why? That is abstract class. Because every account can have withdraw, every account can have deposit, every account will have an account number. You don't have to deny that every account will have an account number, that you can put it in abstract class. You don't have to write into every account hard code that, and every account can inherit from account. You understood, right, what I am trying to tell? So that is the purpose. We are creating a chain, or we are creating a hierarchy, and we are creating a template using abstract classes. Remember in SDLC I told, like in the old days people used to do prototype model. They create prototypes and they throw it off, and once the client approves they will build the real one. That is called prototype design there is prototype life cycle model. So that actually people create abstract classes at that time. They don't really create the real classes. They create dummy real classes. Then after they agree, they throw away the real classes and they build the real classes. Understood, right? Okay. So that is how it will happen. So anyway, so what is the purpose of an abstract class? Abstract class is like acting like a template. Abstract class is making the starting point of an inheritance. Abstract class, even though cannot be instantiated, it is giving the definition to the child classes. Okay. So let's look at the same thing in a different way. Okay. So I know what is the purpose of abstract classes. You all know that too. But let's look this thing in a different way. I have a printer. I have a Word document. For example, like let's say there is a printer here. I want to go and print. What will I do? I will say, there is a Kyocera printer here. Kyocera is there. And I will go and print this. What am I printing? This document. Where am I printing? Who is printing? Printer. So is there any third person in between? I am not talking about the operating system here. Operating system is not doing anything actually. There is one person who is doing something else. What is that? Driver. What is driver doing here? Even though I shut down the printer, I can still click the print button. Then driver will say that the printer is not working there. So wait for, come back again or do something. Agree? So for example, I can still say print. See, it started the print spooler and then the drive. Is it starting? Wow, I didn't expect that. Okay. Yeah, it's wireless, yeah. It's IP address based. Okay. So the thing is, what I'm trying to tell is, if I don't install the driver, can I print? Then is the driver printing that paper? Is driver printing that paper? What does it controlling mean? Saving all the information where? See, when it is telling that it is printing for the second page, third page and everything, it is telling me I am printing the second page. So what is the driver here? If I don't have driver, I cannot connect this one to this one. Agreed? But is the driver real printer? Actually, my program thinks that my driver is the real printer. Because does my program know that there is a real printer outside? It doesn't know. It sees the driver, yeah, I got the printer. For my program, the driver is my printer. For the printer, the driver is the paper or the document. Understand, right? For the printer, oh, driver is sending me, okay, I am getting a document, but it really doesn't know who is sending it, right? Is it an interface between these two programs? Is it an interface? So, is that also a program? The driver is a program, but what is it really doing? It is connecting these two programs. Why? Why do I need that? Why can't I directly connect this? Because you can't put the driver into Word document, right? Otherwise only Microsoft Word can print now. PDF cannot print. Then if I download PDF has to support all the drivers. Programming that is the reason software applications are not hard-coded. For example, if I have to go and build a Bay Bridge, and I have to build another bridge, it's new bridge again. I can't reuse what I did in the Bay Bridge. Understand, right? But here, I don't have to, I'm creating a new PDF document or a software or anything. I don't have to rebuild the print mechanism again. Because someone gave me the driver already. Who gives me the driver? The print manufacturer will give the driver. My PDF, my Word, my Notepad, and everyone will just connect to them. They have to just call it print method. They don't have to write the print mechanism because that is for the printer. I have to, so they will ask me, give me the interface where I can go through. Understood what I just told you? Alright, so here, who is the one who is really giving shelter? Animal shelter. Who is the one who is getting shelter? Dog. So does dog knows that who is providing it? No. Does animal shelter knows that his dog coming in? No. Then who acted as a driver between these two people? Animal class. Is that an interface? Animal class is an interface to dog and animal shelter. This is the interface which is letting in any animal get into animal shelter. Is it really eating? Is that, for example, when you say here from, when you are getting into shelter, they will make it eat. Really is animal, are they making the animal eat? No. It is just a program which will call the dog to eat. Understand, right? So is it an interface? So what are interfaces? Interfaces are abstract programs. Interfaces are, what are APIs? Application Programming Interface. They are abstract programs. You think that you are calling the right person, but you are not calling the right person. You are using abstract methods and everything, but you call the concrete methods really. So this animal is, if you have this, it's not a middle layer. I'm not talking about here physical layers or anything. In the programming only. Programming to programming. I have one program, I have another program. These two are different programs. A third program who is coming as interaction between these two people, who is interfacing them into one program. Interface is a way to get in into another program, way to communicate one program into another program. Now, for example, both are Java programs. Shelter is a Java program, dog is a Java program, animal is a Java program. I did that. For example, let's say shelter is written in .NET, shelter is written in .NET, and this animal program is written in Java. Then how will I do it? Shelter is written in .NET and animal program is written in Java. How will I do it? I will build a web service in between. And I will say, give me HTTP SOAP call. I will take the SOAP call, I will convert it into Java call, .NET call, and I will send it back. Java will give SOAP call, web service SOAP or REST call. This SOAP call will come into web server. That will read it and convert it into .NET call, and .NET will give the response and come back again. So, is it web services are also APIs? So that API can be pure language API. The API can be web APIs like a REST API, SOAP APIs, or that API can be anything else too. So you know what does an API mean? So that API can be set of classes, abstract classes, interfaces and everything. That API can be web service completely because it is letting you interface into another program. So that API can be anything. When should we do abstract classes or? How do we know when we have to do abstract classes? It's all business. And again, you don't do abstract classes. You are not going to be the developer. So, I can still answer your question. When do you do abstract classes? When you don't want an object of it. When you want to create a template structure. and everyone should use this template, and we will use abstract class in our automation. I will show you where to use that. Okay, alright. So anyway, that is one thing. But the problem with abstract classes is there is not non-abstraction too. There is non-abstraction too. Now, let's say another thing. I will write a class called fly. Anything which is anything which flies. You understand, right? Fly means anything which flies. Okay. So is bird is a fly. Okay, let's say bird. Okay, which have fly. Agree? But is bird an animal too? Let's say for example, is bat an animal? Bat is an animal. It is a bird too. Okay, let's go actually here. Let's say bird is like a flyer, and I will say this is an abstract class. Abstract class. And now I will say public abstract void fly. Public abstract void land. Okay, they fly and everything. Now I want to create a bat class. Bat, right? Is bat an animal? Extends animal. Is bat a bird? No, it's a bird. But still, it can fly. Can it extend both of them? Can a class extend two classes? Multiple inheritance is not there in Java. That is the problem with abstract classes. When you try to define something in abstractness, you can't get, but the real world is full of combinations. You cannot tell that animals will be always animals only. Agree? Okay. And Superman is also a bird. Right? So even someone, for example, even aeroplane is also a bird. It can fly too. Agree? So a vehicle can be bird, a human can be bird, animal can be bird. Agree? So abstract classes are not completely doing the job for us. Why? They only support single inheritance, because classes only support single inheritance in Java. Another thing is, they are not completely abstract. If you want, you can write some logic inside it too. So when you are making an API, for example, when you are making an API, I want to have the driver. Does driver should have any logic? Or should the printer have the logic? Driver should only have the template to call that, but it should not do anything for me. Should driver should do anything for me? No, it should not do anything for me. It will do that, it will call it. Means it should not really do any printing business. You understand, right? It should not do any printing business or any other business related to printing. It can do other things. So sometimes abstract classes are not completely abstract. Agreed? What is the problem with abstract classes? Another problem. Anyone tell me another problem with abstract classes? For example, I have an animal. I have a, let's say, dog, let's say, penguin or something. Agree? Is the spelling right? G-U-I-N. Okay, very good. And next thing is, let's say, and it can fly too. Agree? And it can swim too. Agree? So, it can do multiple things here. For example, let's say I want to put, once you define an inheritance, you can't come and inject something in between. Everything else will fail. Inheritance is a liability. Inheritance is a liability in Java. Okay? What does it mean is, you can't come in between and change the inheritance. For example, now let's say penguin, I thought when I'm writing the program, I said penguin is an animal. Oh, someone said that, make it swim. Oh, I already wrote the swim in fish. So how could I make penguin fish now? I can't. Because I can't bring the fish into this inheritance. Because I already wrote an inheritance of animal, penguin, dog and everything like that. Now if I break penguin, dog will break. Right? If I put swim in animal, dog has to swim now. Agreed? So inheritance is a liability that it is not very flexible. Agreed? We can't go in Java, we can go and inherit any class we want. Agreed? That is the flexibility we have. Agreed? So that flexibility can be broken if you do inherit abstract classes. So abstract classes are sometimes a liability. Single inheritance and hard-coded relationship. Okay, because you are using not very flexible relationship there. That is the reason, and they are not completely abstract. That is the reason Java came up with a new type. What is that 11th type we discussed yesterday? Interfaces. Interfaces are, you can think like a classes, but they are not called classes. So that is, to solve this kind of problems, Java came up with interfaces. What is an interface? Do you see this interface? Do you see this an interface? So in Java there is a class, there is an interface, there is an enum, and there are 8 primitive data types. Forget about this annotation, that is not a type, that is a type of a class which we will learn in JUnit, don't worry, okay. But these 3 and 8 primitive types, right? Interface. What is an interface? Interface is completely abstract. You don't have to write abstract. It is complete. When you say interface, it is abstract. Okay. So let's say it is abstract flyer. Interface is not, for example, dog is an animal, right? Dog is an animal, and penguin is an animal. Agreed? Penguin can fly, Superman can fly, aeroplane can fly, birds can fly. Understood, right? Can fly. That is, this is can. Interfaces are a ability you can do. The driver say you can print. Another driver say you can scan with me too. Another driver will say you can print, scan, you can copy, you can fax also with me. It's an ability. You understand, right? It's an ability, can do. It's not a easy. It is not a relationship. It's not a easy. It's a can do. You can, if you want to do it, otherwise don't do it. If you want, take me and attach it and do it. Attach the driver and do it. If you don't want it, take the driver and don't do it. So it's a plug and play flexibility. You get that plug and play architecture. What does plug and play mean? If you want to use it, otherwise throw it away. Flexibility. Okay. So interfaces are completely abstract. You don't have to write anything. For example, what will a flyer do? You can fly, and you cannot write a non-abstract. It's completely abstract. You can't tell that I will write a non-abstract method. You don't have to say it is abstract, because automatically it is an abstract. If you write an interface, everything is abstract in it. Agree? Okay. And public void lat. Got it? Alright. Got it? Now, see this one. I want to create a bird class. Bird is an animal. Bird is an animal. Agreed? It implements flyer. Birds can fly. Birds can fly. Okay. In other words, actually, let's not do this way. Give me a bird which can't fly. I am very sorry. Yeah, I know I think my example went wrong, but it's okay. Yeah. And no one is correcting me here. I can only teach Java, I can't teach others. Okay. Penguins do fly? No, I think they don't really, but they have wings, right? Okay. Okay, alright. Okay, so bird is an animal. Every bird is an animal. Now, for example, let's say What is that? Which one should I write? Which flies? Let's say, give me a bird which flies. Okay. It extends bird. It extends bird. Is it an animal too? Bird is extending animal. And it implements flyer. Because it is a implements means you implement interfaces. So when I implement interfaces, I should override everything from the abstract class. You should eat, you should land, you should fly. Because you told me that you are a bird and you can also fly. So you should have a land and fly method. But I don't know how you will write. You should have your own method. You should tell me. Agreed? Similarly, for example, let's say, now let's go to bird which can't fly. You can have a bird which can't fly too because it doesn't implement flyer. Agreed? And now, for example, you can write a vehicle. You can write a car which doesn't fly, but you can write an aeroplane which is a vehicle which can fly. Human who can fly. Agreed? So we can have, yeah, Superman. Yeah, so we can have as many we want. The combination is flexible here because we made the flyer as an interface. And here you can extend only one class, but you can implement multiple interfaces. You can fly, eagle can fly, eagle can kill others. Agreed? Eagle can do whatever, what not. You can write can do more. It can do many things. Agreed? So similarly, aeroplane can fly, it can also implement something else. Maybe cargo. It can do sometimes cargo, it cannot do cargo sometimes. Agreed? So you can do as many. So you can, if you want to implement multiple, you have to do comma, and you have to tell that what are the interfaces here. So multiple inheritance is achieved in Java using interfaces. Okay. Now for example, flyer. Flyer means anything which will fly and land. For example, let's say flyer. Let's also say anything else which can fly. Say it again. Yeah. For example, let's say. No, I don't want the birds or anything actually. For example, I will give you one example. Scanner. Actually, I should not have written class. Let's say scanner is a can do, right? Scanner means you will have scan functionality. Scan function. Yes, there is a scanner class, I agree. Yes, very good. You are reading a good book then. Yeah. Alright, there is a scanner class, but I am talking about the printer scanner here. Okay. So scanner will do scan. It's an interface. And printer will do print. Printer will do okay. Now I will write another interface. Printer scanner interface. Printer scanner interface. It will extend scanner. One second. You understood what I just said? A interface can extend other interfaces. It can extend multiple interfaces. But a class can only extend one class. Understood in Java? Class can extend only one class. Class can implement multiple interfaces. A interface can extend. A interface extends another interface. Class implements interfaces. Okay? Class extends classes. Class does not extend interfaces. Class is implementing interfaces. It is implementing. I am doing it now. For example, flyer can fly. Now I will fly. So that is why it is implementing, right? That is why we call implementing interfaces. So a class will extend a class. Class will implement interfaces. An interface can extend interfaces. Okay? So that is what you need to remember. You can only implement interfaces. You can extend one more class. Only one class. A class can extend only one class. Right?
So you said multiple inheritance is achieved using
Interfaces. So a class can implement multiple interfaces. An interface can extend multiple interfaces. So interfaces is achieving multiple inheritance in Java. Right? So remember, a class can only extend one class. A class can implement multiple interfaces. An interface can extend multiple interfaces, because for example, printer scanner is also one more functionality, which is printing, which is scanning something else too. Agree? Now there is all-in-one interface. You can do all four, but I don't have to write it again. I wrote the interface. So there can be a class, for example, HP is a class, HP printer is a class. That will implement printer scanner, that will implement printer only, that will, you understood, right? So they can implement. When they are implementing, they get all the interfaces too. Right? Because this is extending other interfaces. So a interface can extend other interfaces. A class can implement interfaces. A class can extend only one class. So that is it. So what is the difference between abstract class and interfaces? I will not tell you. You will write it down in somewhere. That is the most asked question. You don't need inner classes. Why do we use Java? Can anyone tell me, why did I use Java? So what is the purpose of Java? Okay, what can Java do for me? I know it is a portable language, but if it just ported from one machine to another machine, what will still it will do for me is more important to me. I can define anything in Java. I can use that definition. Am I right? See, I wrote an animal class. So I can define an animal and all this, anything in Java. I can create any business in Java, in programming simulation. In application, I can make any application, business application. So I can define any business, anything out there. So for example, like, just now I wrote a program for, animal shelters, right? We made, how to work, how animal shelters can, use this application so that they can take in an animal and, they can also adopt an animal, how you can. So you can, you're designing everything. You can design anything. You can design a web application, Windows service, anything. You can write a web service, anything you can do with Java. So then, is testing also a business? So can I define testing in Java? Can I define testing in Java? So what is testing? What is testing? What is testing? Can anyone define me? No, testing is meeting the requirement. That is one way of telling that. Let's say meet requirement. So what is white box testing then? There is validation and verification. So define me what is a test. Define me what is a test. Deviation or matching expected to actual? It's the matching. It's not the deviation. Agree? So the bug is a deviation. Test is not a deviation. When you test, you will find bugs. Agreed? So, yeah, so testing is something you do. What can any test happen? So, let's say, is test an entity? Is test an entity? Test case an entity? Test suite an entity? What can you do with the test? You run. 1 second. So what can you do with the test? You run a test, right? So generally, for example, let's say I will write a method here. So for example, so see this one. Can anyone tell me what is this program doing? Why did I write this method as static? I don't care about an instance of my math. I can directly call my math.add and I will pass my parameters and I don't need an object of my math because there is nothing like math object. Math is a definition to use. Math is not an instance to use. Understand, right? Account is an instance to use. Math is not an instance to use. Math is a definition. So this belongs to the class rather than the entity. I want to test it. How will I test it? So tell me what is testing. What is testing and how will you test it? How will you test this method? What is the first step in testing? So running the test is running the test and comparing it is the first thing. Really? No, I don't think so. What is the first step in any testing? Writing test cases. Please write it. Don't tell me passing, valid, invalid. Give me test cases. What is a proper test case? What does a test case mean? Set of inputs, expected output. So give me the inputs and give me the expected output. So don't give me definitions. So give me test cases for that. So I have the program and give me the test cases for that. I know A, B, I only wrote the program, so I know what is A, B and what is valid. So tell me what is a valid A and B.
2 and 4.
Yes, tell me that. 2 and 4, then I will get 6. Yes, 2, 4, I will get 6. Next. 0 minus 1, I will get minus 1. Very good. Next. Next. Over the boundary of integer. Very good. Minus 1, minus 1, minus 2. Very good. Minus 2, minus 6. I don't need to write 2 of them. I already covered 1 minus scenario. Agreed? That is testing, right? You don't have to take everything from one domain, right? 3.0, 2.0. What is the parameter type here? Can I pass 3.0 inside there? So programming is strict. User interfaces are not strict. It won't compile if you write 3.0 or 2.0 because it is an integer. You have to pass an integer. You are testing a program here. User interfaces you can send any garbage in, but in programs you can't send any garbage in. I can only send, you can't do that because this is program. Next. Giving a long value, it is an integer, I can't give a long value. It is an integer, I can't give a long value. So what are the test cases? So let me write that. For example, like I will say int a is equal to 1 and int b is equal to 2, and then what will I do? My math dot add, and I will say a and b. What will I get? A and B. What will I get? Actually, let's directly do instead of this one. So 1 second. 1 and 2. What will I get? Int a is equal to. So if a is equal to 3, what happened? If a is equal to 3, what happened? What is true? Test passed. Yes, test passed. If a is not equal to this one, test failed. There is no error here. Agreed? Test failed. Agreed? Similarly, so this is one test case. I will give me more test cases. -1, -2. How much I should expect? -3. That is what? What is a test case? Set of inputs, execution conditions, and an expected result. That is what I am doing here. But I am doing it programmatically. I am doing white box testing here. I am not doing black box because there are no requirements. Program is the requirement. And let's say this one. How much I am expecting? So I can write more and more test cases like this. Who told me that I have to write like this? That if this is equal to this one, this is equal to this one? I wrote myself. No one told me. If I write my testing like this, you will write your testing in other way. In other way. You will write, you will write your own class differently and everything. Shouldn't there be standard? How you write our testing? Shouldn't someone define me testing in Java so that I use that structure rather than writing myself like this garbage? Understood, right? So that is why someone thought of defining testing in Java. That is nothing but JUnit. So JUnit is nothing but a unit testing framework. So what is JUnit? Unit testing framework. So what does it do? It will define testing to make your unit testing easier. So it is defined to make your unit testing easier. What is a unit in a programming language? Method. To test those methods, you want to have a framework like this. What does a framework mean? It's like an API for me. I can use it to run my test. And framework is nothing but the tools which are making your job easier. So are those other Java programs too? Are they Java programs too? Is it an API too? It is an API where I can use that. But I will tell what is my test and I will run it. But I will use it to run it. Understand, right? It is my test, but it will run it for me. Okay, it is like a driver which runs it for me. So unit testing, it is an unit testing API. Okay, so they defined the testing inside that. So now, for example, think like there is no JUnit and you are the one who wants to create the JUnit. Okay, let's think like that. So until now there is no JUnit and you just thought that we should have something like JUnit. So let's say if you want to do JUnit, what will you think that what you want in JUnit? First of all, you should define testing in that. So what is do abstraction now? Do abstraction. What is the first concept when you want to do something, when you want to define something? Abstraction. Agreed? So tell me, what will be the classes, what will be the interfaces in it? What is the basic thing in testing? Test. Can anything, so test is a, like something is a test or something can be test. Can anything be test or only particular thing is a test? Something is a test, something cannot be a test. So testing is a liability or a plug and play feature? Plug and play feature. So the base entity in a testing is test. So should I make it a class or interface? Should I make it a class or interface? Interface, because you can become a testing, you don't want to become a testing, you are still a program. I can make that program a test program or not a test program. Got it? So it is an interface. In Java you will write an interface. If you have an interface, you should have a method, right? What do we do with a test? We run. But do I know how to run this test now? No, it's up to you. You will tell how to run your test. This is an abstract method. A testing can be, now let's say, test case. Is test case a test? A single test? Yes. Test case is an abstract class which implements test. So will it have a run method? We will have a run method. What will test case have? What else test case will have? Sweets is a different thing. Okay. What else test case will have? Inputs expected and everything. So a test case can have test methods. A single method represents a single case. In a method, you need expected to, a test case really has expected to actual. So that is why Java said that you need a assert class. There is a assert class and they created static methods. Means every test method should contain a assertion. Got it? Every test method should contain a assertion. Asserting expected to actual. Why do I call it assertion? Why don't I call verification? What is the difference between assertion and verification?
Assertion, you're asserting,
Stating it. What am I verifying?
you're actually having something to say that.
Even to assert, I need to know what to assert and with what to assert. Agree? Even in verification, I have to know what to verify and using what to verify. What is the difference between assertion and verification? Assertion is a strong verification. Verification is a mild assertion. Let me tell you in a different way. If I do assertion, if it doesn't satisfy, I have to stop there. I cannot go move forward. Done, I failed. Verification, I failed. It will tell that, oh, you failed, but it will still move forward. Understand, right? So verification is a mild assertion where the program don't stop even though your verification failed. Assertion, if it fails, the program fails. The test case failed there. Got it? Test method failed there. So every test method should contain a assertion or verification. Okay? Now, that is why Java should write all the assertions, right? You can say assert equals, assert greater than, assert not equals or something like that. You can do assertion anything. Expected actual can be equal, can be greater, can be anything. For example, I can say that, I should say, this should be greater than 3. The result which is coming should be greater than 3. Everything doesn't have to be equal only. Your condition, your satisfactory conditions doesn't have to be equal only. Again, you can say that this should not be null, this can be null, because you are testing program here, right? So Java wrote a assert class and it wrote all the assert methods like assert equals, assert null, assert not equals, like that. Okay, I will explain you this. Then there is a test suite class. Test suite. What is a test suite? Is it also a test? Is it also a test? Yes. Will it also have a run method? Yes. Okay. So Java, JUnit actually, JUnit, very good Lakshmi. JUnit has defined testing. So a testing needs a test that can be a test case or test suite, and you need to run it. When you run that, you run the test cases inside that. Every test case should contain a assert statement at the end of it that can contain assert methods which are static methods from the assert class. Okay, that is what they find. But did they define reports or anything? No. Does testing need a reporting? No. Is it mandatory or it's an optional? Optional. See, Java is a very good language where everything can be defined in a nice way. For example, you buy a tool like QTP. You have to use as it is. You can't change it, right? You can't change it. You cannot say that I don't want this, I want this or something like that. Here, you make your stuff. Understand, right? So listeners are not part of test. You can listen to a test. So Java created listeners because you want to listen over a network, you want to listen over a file, you want to listen into anything. You want to listen into a screen. In the listeners, you will have, there can be UI listeners, non-UI listeners, anything. So Java has a listeners. From the listeners, you can create reports. Okay. So everything is very flexible in Java. JUnit. So JUnit divided. So where is this JUnit library actually? Who defined this JUnit library? Someone else defined the JUnit library somewhere. When someone writes Java code, they will compile it, right? And they will make a one file. What is that file called? Jar file. Set of those classes and everything will go into the jar file. If I want to use the jar in my project, what should I do? I need to attach the jar into my build path. Means I need to tell that, remember I want to use this jar. So where is that jar? JUnit automatically is inside Eclipse, so you don't need to go outside. So how will you attach JUnit into your program? You will say build path, configure build path, and you will go library. And is it an external jar? No, it's inside. So I will tell you again, go to build path, configure build path, and libraries, add library and say JUnit. What is the version you want to say? JUnit 3, JUnit 4? Well, let's see JUnit 3 first. Okay. How do I know what is inside JUnit 3? Go to this JUnit 3 and there is JUnit.jar. This is what I have attached to my program. Go and open it. Let's find it. You will see so many packages. Do you see that so many packages? But the base package is JUnit.framework. JUnit.framework is the core package. Inside that, what do you see? There is a test. What is this test? This is an interface. This is an interface. Do you see public interface? And a test can contain test cases. A test will contain run. Okay. Now I go to test case. Test case is a test2. How do I know? Test case implements test. Agreed? And you will see like test case, count test cases, test result, and they separated test result. Do you see this test result? Test result is separate, test case is separate. A test case can contain a test result. When you run, you get a test result. You can say create result to get the result. So when you run a test case, you can create the result from it into a test result. And test result is a class. Do you see that? It will contain a list of failures, errors and listeners. A listener is the one which is listening to a test. Give me 1 second. Yeah. So test case, test class, test listener, So even test suite is a real class. It is not abstract or anything. It implements test and you can create test inside this. Okay. Just static. Test suite and add a test. Okay. So I will tell you how to use this. Okay. They wrote this framework and they wrote how do more runners. Do you see this runner and UI runners, like let's say some other runners too, they have done all this kind of stuff. Okay. So anyway, see, I wrote my test like this. Instead of doing this, how I will do this one? So this is the class I need to test. This is the class I need to test. How will I test it? Let's see. I will write a JUnit test case. Do you see this? Or I can create a class directly. And I will say test my math. All the test classes should have test in the before, so that you know that that is a test class. Okay, my math. Okay. Now in JUnit there is a interface called a test. There is a abstract class called a test case. Agreed? There is an abstract class called test case and there is a class called test suite. We all know that. Which package are there? Do you know what is the package in JUnit? Import. Can anyone tell me? JUnit.framework. This is the package, everything else is there. Okay. Now, inside this there is a test case class. I want to become a test case. How will I become? No, there is a test case already defined. I want to become a test case now. My math is a test case. How will I make it? I want to make it my class test case. So that means test my math is a test case. How will I make that a test case? Inherit it. Just inherit it. If you want to get something from someone in Java, you just go and inherit it. You don't ask them. Okay? Alright. Sorry, I mean to extend. Okay? So am I a test case now? Is my math test a test case? Yes, now I am a test case. Do I have run method? Do I have all other assertions and everything I got? Yes. But assertions are part of asset class. But I can run myself. A test case should have test method. Like let's say public void test. Let's say every test case will contain test cases. I will write the first test case. What is the first test case you want to write? Call my math, give 1 and 2. What do you expect? 3. So test valid invalid. Okay. Alright. Now here I will say I call that class my math dot add, and what do I give? 1 and 2. Okay. Now I will say int a is equal to this one. Okay. Int a is equal to this one. Then I have to do a assertion. Every test case should contain what? Assertion. Assert equals expected. How much I am expecting? 3. What is the actual? A. Done. I wrote a test case. Now I will write a second case. Invalid, negatives. Negatives. -1, -2. How much I expecting? -3. Now I will test zeros. 0, 0, 0. Okay. Now I will write test combination. 1 negative, 1 positive. These are the test cases. Should write. But still, even for this testing also I should write test cases first. That won't change, right? Testing job, that won't change. Writing test cases is part of this. Well, what will I do? Combination. -1, 0. What will I get? -1. Or like -1, 1. Let's say, what will I get? 0. And I will write another test which is like max int. Max, let's not write that max int right now. Okay. Alright. Okay. So these are the test cases. Am I right? What is the advantage like writing like this from before? Can anyone tell me what is the advantage I got now? Programs will not import anything automatically. This is program. You have to write automatic import statement there. Okay. What is the advantage from previous? It is organized. It is reusable. In future I can use it anytime. I write it once. I execute it any times I want. Agree? And I can run, reporting is not tied up. Test is test. I don't tie up a reporting, I don't tie up a result, I don't tie up anything. I write the test here. Just like developer wrote his program, I wrote my test. That's it. It can be saved forever. I will check in when wherever developer puts his code, I will put my code also. Agreed? So there is no problem. This code is done. How will I run it? I can just go and say run. It will automatically launches that JUnit runner. See, is it telling 0, green, green, green? Everything passed. That is why it gave 4 by 4, no errors, no failures. Do you see that? Agreed? So it is giving me in Eclipse a green bar telling that it passed. So it is using this result. If I don't want it, I can run it in other way also. Because the runner is not test is test. Whom to run I can ask differently too. For example, the beauty of JUnit is test is different, runner is different, listener is different. They are not tied together. Test is test. Oh, you can ask Eclipse to run. You can ask tomorrow someone else to run. You can ask someone else to run. Who runs this test is not, it doesn't have to be you and the same runner. You can create your own runner. Who listens to this is also different. Who listens to this and create result is also different. So the result can be XML, the result can be text file, the result can be PDF, the result can be HTML. It's up to you. What do you want? You have your result. So they separated test from runner, runner from listener. Am I clear? You can call it even in main method, but if you write it in main method, you have to run it. So you are hard coding the runner. Give me 1 second, guys. Everyone, sorry about that. Okay. So they defined test as test. Test is different, listener is different, runner is different. Okay. So that is the advantage you get. By default, when I click run, Eclipse is using some default runner and it is giving me the result like this. But if I want, I can run it from main method. I can use my own runner. I can build another runner. I can build another result also. So the major strength of JUnit is it's a simple program. And JUnit always tells that what is the difference between previous program and this program. My tests are simple programs. What is a test? Test is testing something. Should you write more programming into this one? If you write a test as a more bigger program, who will test this program? Understood, right? Test should be a simple test which tests a program. It can't be another program. The simplicity of JUnit is that don't write programs here, just write tests here. How many lines I wrote there? 2 lines. I called, I accepted. I called, I accepted. Is it difficult? So this is JUnit. So JUnit is simplicity. Okay. Alright. So no, we are not coming there, Trishala, because there is no logic. You don't write logic in here. In automation, you write logic. Because you have to tell what to do also. Agreed? Here this is testing a simple program. Agreed? So that is JUnit. But there are 2 versions of JUnit, JUnit 3, JUnit 4. Why? Because there is something with JUnit, something wrong with JUnit 3, right? That is the reason they created JUnit 4. Otherwise, why? Or they enhanced it. Otherwise, why would they create JUnit 4? So before going into that, what else is more in JUnit 3? Let's go and do that. For example, I can now go and create one more class. In math class, I will create now find the largest or something. Okay. Find the largest. Okay. If you need to find the largest, you need to send me array of integers or anything, or let's say actually give me any program, reverse a string or something like that. We'll do that. Okay, I will. That is not in the math, right? Reversing a string is not part of math. So let's say I will create my string and I will write my string, and what will I do? I will write a method to public string, actually static. Let's write static reverse. So you pass me a string and I will reverse it for you. Okay. How will I do that? What I will do is, like, I will say character array, my characters. First get all the characters from the string. S dot to char array. And then I will say string return string, means result. Result is equal to, first I will say null. So I will give a null, and then I will pass this to character array, return result, and let's say for each character C in my, actually I will go actually string result equal to so I am creating another characters of the same length of other characters. You see that? I have my characters, I have written characters, reversed characters. Okay. For each int I is equal to 0, I is less than my chars of dot length and I plus plus. I am looping through the character. So what will I say is return chars of my chars dot length minus 1 or I is equal to my chars of I. So what does that mean is, take the first one, if it is 0, take the first one and put it in the last one. Take the second one and put it in the last but one. Take the third one, so I am looping through like that. Got it? And then what will I do? String return or result is equal to return characters dot to string. Got it? Return string. Alright, I wrote a reverse of string here. Alright, now this is another class, so I need to write another test class for this one. So what will I do? I will write JUnit test my string. Okay, so give me the test cases for it. I need to test that reverse string. Give me a test cases for it. Okay, you will start with null string. Okay, no problem. So I am writing the test cases here on the top. So as a comments, null string. Next, please give me tomorrow. These are the questions people will ask you. So do not delay. Start it now. Next, null means what should happen when you give a null? It should fail. That is later. So that is the reason we won't test it now. Tell me next. Give me that. Don't tell me valid, invalid. What is that? A, B, C, D. Then what will you get expected? Next. Give me test cases.
With instead of letters you have numbers,
ABC1, 1, CB.
characters,
Give me special character.
dollar sign and
Dollar sign or anything. A, dollar sign A, dollar sign A, or let's say B and B. Next. Anything else? Lowercase, very good. Yes, this is how you write test cases, very good. A space B and B space A. Next. Minus 1, 2, 3, 4, these are strings. But you can use special characters. I already tested special character. Next. Underscore. I am only testing the reverse function. I will not go beyond that. My duty is to test the reverse function. I am not a programmer here. I will not write anything else. Next. Empty string. Okay. Single alphabet. You never know, it might fail. Right? Anything else? Okay, for now this is fine. You can put all numeric too. Yes, very good. That is a test case too. Very good. So anyway, I won't write all of them, so I will write some of them. Okay. Public in JUnit 3. In JUnit 3, if you want to become a test case, what you should do? Import JUnit.framework, and what you have to do? Extends test case, and what you should do here? Public void test. What is that? Caps. Test caps. So it should be public void only in JUnit. You have to extend test case. You have to write public void. You can't have parameters. And this should be test. It should start with small case test. Otherwise it doesn't know whether it is a test or not. Okay. Then what will you do? You will say my string A is equal to my string dot reverse. Give me what is that? A, B, C, D. And what should I get? Assert equals, right? But are we using assert equals or assert same? Java has JUnit have assert equals, assert same. Assert same means same object, double equals. So how many types of assertions JUnit will give you? Let's see. First one is assert equals. Assert equals means expected actual. So it is equality. So if you ask two objects to be equal, that is content equals method. Then there is also assert same. Why it is assert same? Assert same is double equal. Same object. But here are we testing if it is same object or same content? Same content. So it is assert equals, not assert same. I am not asking you to give me the same object, right? So that is assert same. See, assert same is object to object. There are two types of equality in reference types, right? Everyone knows that, right? So that is assert same. Then there is assert null. Assert null. Null means make sure this is null. Make sure this is not null. See, there is assert null and there is assert not null. So these are the all types of assert statements in JUnit. Assert not null, and then there is assert equals, I don't know, let's say null, assert true, whatever the boolean condition inside it should be true. Assert false. Assert false. Okay. These are some of the stuff you will do it. Okay. And what else? I don't know. That's it. Alright. So if you see assert equals, see assert equals have so many overloaded. Boolean to boolean, string to string, int to int, like that. But here expected is what? What are you expecting? DC, BA, what is the actual? A. Right? This is your test case, right? Next, test small. Lowers. ABCD, and I'm expecting DCBA. Test with a space. Test space. See, I'm writing differently because I can identify, right, easily which one is which, and I will get B space A. Alright, for now these three methods are okay. We can write it later. Wow, everything is failing. So my logic is wrong. What does that mean? So yeah, I'm converting this into a string. Alright, 3 test cases passed. The reason is when I go through the first one, first one is 0. It cannot be length, it should be length minus 1. The 0th element here, for example, if there are 5 elements, there are 4 elements, right, A, B, C, D. The 0 of this should go on to third one of this. Agreed? There is normal array, there is reverse array. I have normal array. And 0, 1, 2, 3. A, B, C, D. The 0 should go into 3. 1 should go into 2. 2 should go into 1. 3 should go into 0. That is what I did. Because you should use minus 1. Agreed? That's it.
By the same token, shouldn't the top one also be length minus 1 on top? Because you're going to
No, length, here you have to give the length because I am creating the array.
no, for the I.
Yes, that is what I is less than length, not less than equal to 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Alright. I will do one more few examples. Let's say I don't want to use this runner. So let's do some more functionality in JUnit. I don't want to use this runner or something. How will I do? I can create my own runners or anything. What will I do? Let's say for example I have, let's say, my runner, okay, and I will create a main method here. main method here. See this one. I want to run all the tests from import JUnit dot framework dot this one. Okay, and I will say import JUnit dot text UI. Means I don't need the normal UI, I will run it myself. Text UI runner means it will show in plain text whether it passed or not. Then I will come here. What is my test? Test my string. I will create actually. See this one. Test my test. Test is the interface, right? Is equal to new test suite. I am creating a test suite. You see this? Test suite is also test. Test is a test. Got it, right? I am creating a test suite now. Now I will say my test dot add. You can add test cases into this. One second. Let's say test suite actually. Test suite. My test is equal to new test suite. Okay. Now see, in JUnit there is a test interface, there is a test case abstract class, and there is a test suite. Test suite is a combination of things. Okay, it is also a test. I created a test suite. Okay, let's go with the normal one. For example, what is the test class here? This is my string. If I want to run my string, test my string, test is equal to new test my string. Agree? Or I can mark this as a simple test because it is a test too. Is test my string a test? Yes, because this is extending test case and test case is implementing test. So this is also a test. Agreed? So now what will I do? I can run this directly like test.run, but I want to see the result, right? Some error or anything. That is the reason I have a test runner. Because I imported this one, I have a test runner. See, this is the runner now. Test runner tr is equal to new test runner. And I will say tr dot run. Which test? Test. What is the test here? Test my string. So I created a runner, I have a test and I am running it. Let's see that. Oh yes, there was one failure actually. Why? I asked all the methods to run, right? Test runner dot run test. Okay, let's do this one. It doesn't matter. Assertion. Test case dot fname cannot be null. Where do you pass values? You don't have to, because the pass values are part of this one. Assertion and everything is part of here, right? You wrote it in the test case. You write a test differently. While running, you don't pass values. They are defined in the test. The test, it's a test object. The object of the test I wrote. It contains test methods. And I'm creating the object and I'm passing it in the runner. You got it? Alright, let me do it this another way. Okay. Then we are hard coding. What are we hard coding? Yes, that is data driven and everything is later, not here. Okay. First let's run the test separately. Okay. Test suite, I will create a test suite. TS is equal to new test suite. What is a test suite? It can be collection of tests. Is test suite a test too? Yes. But does it have any test cases inside it now? No. I will add ts dot add test. I will say new test my string. means go and get everything from my test object. Got it? Go and get everything from my test object and add the cases into your suite. Alright, I added a suite. Now I will create a test runner. Test runner my runner is equal to new test runner, and then I will say my runner dot run, and I will say what is this, run this test suite. I am running this suite into this runner. Let's see what happens. Still there is a failure. I don't know why. There's something I am missing. Anyway, I will stop the class here. I will fix it for Saturday.